breaking.
And so I suppose one of the things you can't predict as well, or you wouldn't have been able to predict, is how the influence of influencers has grown. So that I think it's the case that influencers are almost being used more to promote esports now than esports players.
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. I think because I don't want to stereotype, but traditionally influencers have slightly more of a personality than esports players themselves. So you can invest in their stories and the way they market themselves more so than you can an esports player, in my opinion anyway.
It's a skill set, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. And they're there for that reason, right?
Yeah.
Whereas professional esports players are there because they are incredibly good at the game that they play. So.
Yeah. And so is that something that you think that's a trend that's going to continue? And do you think it's going to be, how do you think it's going to work with sort of sponsorship and involvement with teams and that sort of thing? Is it the case that teams are going to have not just their players, but the influencers that work with them as well?
I think that's definitely the way that the industry is going. You can see, for example, clubs like Manchester City, they are signing not only these amazing, talented FIFA players, but they're also signing YouTubers and TikTokers and content creators that are just so much more developed as a brand to represent their club. And I really do see football clubs and in turn other esports organisations going down both forks of the
That's
stream.
really interesting.
Yeah.
So you could have a sort of FaZe Clan top at some
Potentially,
point.
yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
One of the other things that we've done quite a bit of is working with agencies that are creative agencies rather than talent agencies. Is that something that you're seeing more of? Clearly, in a sense, there've always been talent agencies, so long as there's been talent almost. But the creative side of things, where an agency is focusing on influencers and content creators per se, and trying to do something interesting in that space, is that something that you're seeing grow?
Absolutely. I think certainly for branded content now, that the brand that wants said content has a vision of what they want the end outcome to be, and sometimes picking talent based off from a talent agency or just an individual talent rather than would suit the content itself better doesn't really make much sense. So it's like horses for courses really, I suppose. So creative agencies would go to find people that best suit the role as opposed to a talent agency who offer their best talent, if that makes sense, that aren't really suited to what they're asking.
Yeah, makes sense.